Introducing the Fantasy Sport Doctors with your hosts, Dr. Mitch Brecky, Dr. Nick Curry, and Dr. Nick Healy. Welcome to the clinic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Hey! Welcome.
Week 7.
Week 7, baby.
Yep.
Why are you so excited, Nick?
Oh, I have multiple reasons why I'm excited, but one of them, you guys might be wondering if you're looking through the camera why I'm holding the silver long beer here.
Silo.
Don't
spill it everywhere. I got to drink
16 ounces of fun in this baby. It's because Dr. Curry lost a bet a couple weeks ago, and he's finally paying up.
I lost a few bets, but I won a few bets, so this is kind of the payback.
Yeah, he thought Houston was going to beat Minnesota.
Well,
not going to happen. Not up in here.
When they got Brock Osweiler at quarterback, I don't think they're beating many people.
So if you didn't have a chance to listen a couple weeks ago, Dr. Curry now has to do college tradition of shotgunning what ideally would be a natty ice, but they didn't have it because it's that bad. So it's a Busch Light.
BL Smoothie.
BL Smoothie.
So that's how we're starting off the show today.
Awesome.
So get down on one knee and pray to the Busch Light gods. I cannot wait for this. I've been waiting.
I thought he's not wasting any time, and he's off. He's off. Oh, there we go. And he's gone. There you go.
I'm actually kind of impressed. Nothing's. Three.
That's a lot of 16 ounces, and it's gone.
You can tell he's from Wisconsin with that chug. Wow.
All right.
That was actually extremely impressive.
Good start to the show.
I'm actually from Minnesota, and I've been practicing, guys.
Out of the gates.
Saturdays are for the boys.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Even when it's not Saturday.
I love it.
I love that.
The guy is drunk.
Good.
The guy is drunk.
Good start to the show.
I love it.
That's on a right note. I can't wait to see more of those. Fantastic.
Dr. Nick, how did we do last week?
Well, we had some hits and we had some misses as usual, but LaShawn McCoy, you threw him in your lineup, killed it. He had 19 attempts for 140 yards. Not one, not two, but 3 touchdowns.
We all loved LaShawn McCoy last week. If we all could have picked him for our essentials, I think we would have.
Yeah, 2 of us actually did.
Yep.
Then we had James White as a fight or flight for me, and we loved him as well. He had 7 attempts for 19 yards rushing, but what he really did was in the passing game where he had 8 receptions for 47 yards. Not one, but 2 touchdowns.
Talked a lot about Christine Michael. He did okay.
He did well as well. I do not have his stats right in front of me, but he killed it. Also, Jimmy Graham. He is their number 1 receiver, it looks like. He's the safety blanket for Russell Wilson.
He's looking a lot more like he was when he was back in New Orleans now.
Yep. Well, he's been playing injured. This is his first year where he's healthy, really getting back into it. I expect big things still out of Jimmy Graham. So, well, Dr. Healy, how much did you win last week?
I won $118. I did a double up, which won me $100, and then I won $5 in a tournament, and then $8 in another tournament.
So again, those cash games are pulling through for you.
They are.
So Dr. Mitch and I think we had a little bit worse weeks.
Big Ben didn't help my cause at all. Him going down and then throwing a couple interceptions and no touchdowns. It's a tough one. You can't foresee injuries in the lineup. He was a good play, but when someone goes down early in the game, it's tough.
I had Devontae Adams in a lot of my leagues.
I did too.
Got hurt, put up 5 points, so that kind of kills your lineup right there. So
I was very fortunate enough to have LaShawn McCoy and Tom Brady and Odell in one of my lineups, so the Devontae Freeman didn't hurt me as bad. Julian Edelman at least got some catches, so he had like 11 points. And then I was actually high on Todd Gurley last week that I had in the lineup. Who does a QB sneak with Casey Keenum on the wing? Give that damn ball to Todd Gurley.
Yep.
All right.
Moving on. That's the subjective. We're moving on to the objective portion of the show. Remember, every week we go through the projected point totals for the week, and we pick the highest scoring games from Vegas odds. This is done by taking the over and under of the spread of all 16 games and identifying the top 6 scoring teams favored by Vegas odds makers. Dr. Healy, let's start them off.
Let's start it off. All right, we're going to start with a number 1 scoring team down to the 6th best scoring team. First game we have is San Diego, and they're at Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons are projected to win this game by 6.5 points. The over-under is 53, and Atlanta's projected to score 29.75 points.
All right, so we're looking at the Chargers defense in this case here versus the Falcons. Chargers come out right now. They're the 25th rated pass allowed yards in the league right now, 25th. Jason Verrett, they lost their key cornerback. That was 2 weeks ago now. Joey Bosa's back, but they've given up 10 touchdowns in the past game this year so far. They have a decent rush defense, 5th in the league in yards, only allowing eight rushing touchdowns. I think you're going to want to target some more receiving targets when it comes to the Falcons this week versus Chargers defense. Matt Ryan has been hot.
Number 1 quarterback in fantasy right now.
He is. I've never been real high on him because he's been up and down, but he's been pretty consistent this week. So I would stick with a lot of receiving options in this Falcons offense versus this Chargers defense that you're going to be seeing.
Loving Julio Jones a lot.
The Falcons put up the most points in the league right now on a game-to-game basis. They're consistently one of the highest spreads. They're favored 29.75 points right now. I think I looked at the spread right before coming in, and that's gone up. They're projecting them in Vegas to score 30 points.
So they're probably favored by like 7.5 now instead of 6.5. Okay.
Yep. So Atlanta's favored by even more. They're expecting them to score a ton of points. I'm not a big fan of Matty Ice, but this week I think him and Julio Jones hook up for quite a few yards and a touchdown or two. So
I just don't think you're a believer. I think you got to start believing what Matty Ice is doing. I mean, he's doing it against some solid defenses like Denver and then at Seattle. I mean, he's putting up numbers, and Julio Jones is coming through, and when Julio Jones wasn't coming through, they're doing it through the air with their running backs.
All the non-believers. How did that? All the non-believers.
I guess non-believers in Matty Ice are kind of on the back.
I know you're kind of hating on Matty Ice a little bit because you weren't fortunate enough to drink a Natty Ice, so I understand that. I get that. All right. Next game, we have the New Orleans Saints at the Kansas City Chiefs. The over-under in this game is 50.5, and Kansas City is favored by 6.5 points to score 28.5 points. Take it away, Dr. Mitch.
All right, taking a look at the Saints defense. 20th in the league in pass, 17th in the rush, which is middle of the pack, but they've given up the most rushing touchdowns out of any defense in the entire league.
How many is that?
11 touchdowns in 6 games.
Almost 2 rushing touchdowns a game.
2 rushing touchdowns a game. And you think, maybe is that more in the red zone? Not really, because they're giving up 4.3 yards per carry. So they're giving out a lot of yards per rush. You're looking at the running game with the Chiefs. Who's your guy?
Who knows?
Where Charles? I think they're still bringing in Charles into the mix. He's still not getting as many carries as Ware.
They're going to ease him in.
Yeah, they're going to ease him in. I love the rushing attack versus the Saints, this poor rushing defense of the Saints this week.
Jamal Charles is getting a little bit older, and Ware is the young, hot running back. I expect them to feed the ball at least, I would say, a 60-40 split. And I think Ware has a great opportunity of getting in a goal line carry, which obviously values him a little bit more. And for $5,800 on DraftKings, he's a great value pick.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think with the Charles and the Ware situation, Ware's definitely going to be their future. But I think they're easing Charles in. The 2 last games he played, one was raining, so they didn't want to start off with injuring him again and with the ACL with the rain. But they were up by quite a bit in the last game, so they just fed the ball to Ware. So I think as the season goes on, I could see Jamal Charles getting more and more carries throughout the rest of the season.
Here's an interesting take, though. Sheldon Rankins, their D lineman for the Saints, is back from a fibula injury. He's one of their top defensive linemen, so he might be able to solidify a little bit of that run game. I don't know how much he's going to be playing this week. He just started back at practice this week, if he's going to be playing at all. Okay. Keep that in mind. I still think a rushing attack of the Chiefs is going to be a good play for you this week.
Saints need to rip off about 3 or 4 wins to become competitive in that South division again.
Yep, because right now it's not them and it's not Carolina. It's Atlanta that's taking it. All right, next game we have is the Cleveland Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals.
All we hear is about their defense. They can't stop a nosebleed.
Cleveland is god-awful, let's just say that.
Cleveland's not very good this year. They've been, that's a story of every year with the Browns. Coming into this game, tied for 27th in league yards given up in the pass, tied for second with 16 touchdown passes given up this entire season. That's a lot.
In 6 games?
In 6 games. Yeah, it's
Child, please.
Child, please. It's like 3 touchdown passes a game. That's a lot.
Child, please.
Yeah, so I love the passing attack of the Bengals. Andy Dalton's been showing me a lot this year. He's been pretty consistent. Even against tough defenses like Seattle and Denver, he put up some decent points.
The ginger.
The big ginger.
The big ginger.
What do they call him? The rotten tomato?
The rotten tomato.
Something like that.
He's be ripe today. He'll be ripe on Sunday.
I like A.J. Green a lot in this game. I think A.J. Green is going to put, we're talking about 2 to 3 touchdowns a game given up by Cleveland. They're possibly without Terrell Pryor, so they don't have a ton of offense, or he's at least going to be hurt and limited.
Yep, he's got a hip issue.
I think they're going to have a lot of opportunities to score. And when you're looking at that team, A.J. Green, Giovanni Bernard, even Brandon LaFell,
he's a touchdown machine, apparently.
Yeah, those are the guys that stick out to me that you're going to want to target in your daily fantasy.
All right, next game that we have is the Bears at the Green Bay Packers. This game is the Thursday night game. The over-under is 46. Green Bay is favored by 9 points in this one, and they're expected to score 27.5 points.
Bears defense back in Lambeau Thursday night. These Thursday night games, you never know what you're going to get. And this year, it's been pretty dismal. Every single Thursday night game hasn't put out a lot of points, really. Me personally, I don't know. I want to say that the Packers are going to come out finally and do something. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I know what he was going to say.
He wants the Bears to crush them.
Oh, I would love that so much. That would make me so happy. Nothing happier to us going by, and while we're on bye and still waiting to play, Packers lose 2 games. I love that.
Yeah, it's the Bears.
The heart is just crushing over here for Dr. Curry.
You know what? I'll tell you.
You can see the heart just break.
I'll tell you what, Nick. It's gonna sound real different when the Packers are 4-2 and the Vikings are 5-1.
I doubt that. Highly doubtful. I think you need to click that this guy's drunk after you just shotgun that Busch Light.
The guy is drunk.
Or
I tell you what, that was a great call.
That was a great call.
There's a lot of unknown in the backfield this week.
Time will tell, gentlemen.
A lot of unknown in the backfield this week for the Packers. They're going up against a Bears defense, 21st in the league right now with yards given up. Only 6 touchdowns given up, so a touchdown per game. You can find a lot of value, I think, in the Packers offense this week with trying to find guys to plug in if the Packers show up and start scoring some points, which I think they can.
Well, if you're playing DraftKings, the Packers physically don't have a running back that you can use. Unless you're going to roll the dice with Aaron Ripkowski.
No.
He's their fullback.
Nope.
I probably wouldn't. But yeah, Ty Montgomery's been coming out of the backfield.
We'll talk more about them when we come down,
I honestly, the big question here is, does Aaron Rodgers get it together? Is Mike McCarthy going to call a game that's conducive to scoring points? And
it's been pathetic.
It's been terrible. I don't know. I mean, if I see another game where Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw a touchdown until the 4th quarter, they should fire Mike McCarthy right away. I mean,
got to bring that to the committee. The old publicly owned company. The old publicly owned.
The greatest scheme of all time. You guys can own part of the team for about $200, but it doesn't really mean anything. You just get a piece of paper that says you did. Greatest marketing scheme ever.
Hey, if you could do it, you would.
Well, just because the Minnesota fans are a lot smarter than Wisconsin fans. That's the only thing.
A border battle right here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Obviously, we love Ty Montgomery. I think Jordy Nelson is a safe play. Randall Cobb gets a little bit sneakier. He may have some touches coming out of the backfield. I don't think Niles Davis is really going to be used all that much.
Actually, they came out today and said he's not going to get any touches this week.
Nice. So you're looking at the practice squad running back or wide receivers coming out of the backfield.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe they won't even run the ball. Maybe they'll just do 5 wide outs
the entire game.
Yeah, just go.
Out of practice today, it said Ty Montgomery was taking running back snaps with the first team, as well as, tell me again what the practice squad's name is. Was it
like Don Johnson or something?
Jackson.
Like that? Don Jackson.
Don Draper, probably.
Yeah,
Don Draper.
He's
real dapper kind of guy.
Yeah.
Spider 2Y banana.
They're going to be calling something like that. I don't know.
Well, this is going to be a fun game to watch. Regardless.
It should be. It should be interesting.
I could see it just being a shootout.
I like Cameron Meredith a lot here with that Packers defense. I don't know.
Sam Shields is completely out. They put him on the IR to get Niall Davis in now.
Both him and Alshon Jeffrey, I could see.
The secondary is pretty diminished in Green Bay.
I got to say that Green Bay did a pretty good job on Zeke. I mean, he didn't
He had 147 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, but I mean,
how great a job is that?
Compared to everyone else, he had like 1 or 2 touchdowns, so he's doing okay. And, I mean, really, are you going to compare Zeke to Howard?
No.
Okay, right. So Howard's playing it like
but are you going to compare
the second or third running defense? Are you going to compare
Cole Beasley to Alshon Jeffrey?
Yeah. Because Cole Beasley,
what?
Yeah, I would say
talent?
Cole Beasley's definitely outplayed Alshon Jeffrey this year.
That might be the most preposterous thing.
Not really. He might have. Yeah,
they probably have.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I like it.
That is. They're the talent-wise. Oh, that's ridiculous. All right, next
you might want to look those.
We're done with this game.
Because he's a white boy.
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on.
Get out of here. All right. So next game we have is the New England Patriots at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The over/under is 46, and New England's favored by 7 to score 26.5 points. Take it away, Dr. Brecky.
All right. Patriots going up against the Steelers. They're not divisional opponents, but they play each other a fair amount.
And in the playoffs, so
yeah, a lot.
They don't like
see each other a lot. You got Roethlisberger's gone. You got Landry Jones in. How I look at this is that means there's going to be a lot of short drives, a lot of 3-and-outs by the Steelers, meaning you're going to have more time with the ball in the Patriots' offense hand. You're going up against the Steelers' pass defense, which is 31st in the league in yards allowed. Tom Brady's been, 370 yards plus in both games, 3 touchdowns in each and no interceptions. I think he's going to have a field day versus the secondary passing. I love that. That's all I got to say. I mean, James White out of the backfield's a good pick here. I think the Steelers are going to have a very difficult time containing this offense of the Patriots in any facet, really.
I think for DraftKings and Fanduel purposes, the 2 players you absolutely want to target and put in your lineups are Tom Brady and the defense. Tom Brady has come out and been above everyone else the best quarterback for fantasy purposes since he's been playing. He's trying to stick it to the league. He's sticking it to Goodell. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to get touchdowns. And they're playing Landry. It's not Jarvis Landry.
No,
What's his name?
Landry Jones.
He's out of Michigan State.
Yeah, and Antonio Brown hasn't caught a touchdown from anyone but Ben Roethlisberger.
His entire career?
I think Le'Veon Bell will have a huge day.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to. Maybe even D'Angelo Williams.
That's my take, though, too. I mean, you look at that. As a Patriots defensive coordinator, who do you try to make them beat you with? They're going to try to make Landry Jones beat them.
Yeah.
I look as you're going to stop the run at all costs.
Bill Belichick.
And you're going to let Landry Jones to try to pass on you. I think that's really what's going to happen here.
And I mean, Pittsburgh has a much different game when they play at home. They usually play much better. Granted, it's Big Ben running the helm instead of Landry Jones, but I'm expecting Le'Veon Bell to have a pretty damn good game, but I'm expecting New England to take this one. And the last game that we have on the docket for you guys, that is going to be the Indianapolis Colts and their beautiful, horrible defense against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee is favored by 2.5 points. The over-under is 48.5, and their projected score 25.5 points.
Colts defense here, still dismal when it comes to the secondary. They're still riddled with injuries. People still haven't come back when it comes to trying to find a solidified number 1 defensive back. Titans offense is starting to pick up, look pretty good. Mariota is a pretty decent player. We're going to talk about that later coming up here. And I think you're going to go after a Colts pass defense that's ranked 30th in the league in yards allowed. They're right there with the Steelers. 9 touchdowns allowed so far in 6 games. I like the passing attack, something out of the backfield when it comes to the Titans offense. I think this is a great play for you. What do you guys think?
Mariota's a sneaky start. He's been a sneaky start the past couple of weeks, to be honest. And DeMarco Murray obviously is a must start for any season-long league, and he's getting.
I think in cash games too. He's almost a must start as well.
He's expensive. He's one of the most expensive running backs, but I think
he's
you
just
get
behind
what you paid
LaShawn McCoy for most expensive.
He's getting 3 to 4 targets out of the backfield a game for sure.
But he's averaging close to 100 yards a game and like at least 1 touchdown. So he's above and beyond one of the better running backs.
He's basically their offense.
I think you got to stay away from Tajay Sharp until he proves something. Rashard Matthews and Kendall Wright have both kind of outperformed him in the past 2 to 3 weeks here. So I kind of like Rashard Matthews here. He's been trending in the right direction, building more rapport with Mariota. And Matthews was the second wideout in Miami last year and looked good for most of the year. So.
I can also see Delaney Walker having a bounce back game from last week. I could see him getting a lot more targets this week than Rashad, and so I could see him being the number one receiver out of that. All right, so moving on, we have our sponsor. Our sponsor is Pub Picks. If you guys are not familiar with Pub Picks, get familiar with Pub Picks. Basically, what it is an app that you can download for free on your iPhone or Android. And basically, what you do, you pick the winners of each game, and from there, you just win free beer, free bowling. You type in the city that you're from, and that's how you win.
No, that's PUBPICKS.
Yep.
Okay.
PUBPICKS. Pub Picks.
So free to download, free to play, could win free things.
Free things. Free beer.
Oh, well, top of the morning to you.
Sounds like a great deal to me.
Oh, I'll take it. I got a free beer at Insight the other weekend, and I also took my girlfriend bowling for free because guess what? I won.
Weird. I bet she loved
How'd you win? Oh, did you listen to our podcast?
I did listen to the podcast.
Fancy that.
Weird. How does that work? All right.
It's interesting. I'm looking at these teams, and we got a lot of different teams that we're playing from.
This week's a little bit different slate than what we, based on our formula. It's going to be a little bit different players you're going to be hearing about, what we're going to be kind of gearing our picks towards. So
I believe I once said I'd never pick from Tennessee. So,
yeah.
Just to let you know, I did look up the stats here. Cole Beasley has 33 receptions for 390 yards and 3 touchdowns. Alshon Jeffrey has 29 receptions for 480 yards.
That's 100 more yards.
100 more yards. How many touchdowns does Alshon have?
0 touchdowns.
Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah,
all right. Cole Beasley definitely has more fantasy
But I'm saying potential. Potential.
He's a redhead, too.
Right. Yeah. All right.
So just taking over the lead.
Moving on to our assessment point. During the assessment, we're going to be highlighting tournament game plays and cash game plays. This week for tournaments, we're playing a $1 million Sling TV Rush. It's a $5 buy-in on Fanduel, and we are going to start it off with our
Fight or flight player.
All right, we have our fight or flight players for your Periscope who've never listened to us before. That's a boom or bust. I'm going with a guy who the majority of you guys have never even heard about. This guy is Chris Conley. He's a second-year wide receiver. He's 6'3", 205 pounds, and he's out of Georgia. He's been targeted increasingly every single week. And the reason I'm targeting him because he's actually the number 2 receiver for Kansas City, and they're playing New Orleans. And these are the last couple of numbers for the number 2 receivers. For Michael Crabtree, he had 7 receptions for 87 yards. Sterling Shepard had 8 receptions for 117 yards, and Dontrell Inman had 7 receptions for 120 yards and a touchdown. So, with New Orleans having 6 D-backs that are either on IR or questionable, I think you can expect Chris Conley to get his breakout game. That's my fight or flight.
That's a good take. My fight or flight in your tournament plays, your boomer bust player, showed a little promise last week is Brandon LaFell. Brandon LaFell is going to be playing against our beautiful Browns, who are terrible in secondary. They're 27th in the pass, allowed the most touchdown passes in the entire league, 16 this year. I think you're going to see a lot of big plays out of the wide receiver crew when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. I like Brandon LaFell. He's coming in FanDuel at 5,700 and in DraftKings 3,900. You're looking at 1 touchdown, more than gets you your value right there in Brandon LaFell. I think he's a great boomer bust fight or flight player this week for you.
Brandon LaFell is the guy he's kind of a journeyman wide receiver who you don't see as that guy who's going to be I could pick Brandon LaFell. And then all of a sudden he's got 2 touchdowns and 80 yards and he's winning you in fantasy. So
he's the guy that'll win you the tournament game if he gets another 2 touchdown game.
2.5 times what you paid for him.
Yep, I love it. My fight or flight player I considered for an essential pick, really for his price point. His name is Ty Montgomery for the Green Bay Packers. Ty Montgomery will be he's got to be the leading running back in Green Bay this weekend. He's going to get the most carries, I think.
There's no one else.
I got to assume they're going to try and do some screen passes. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers has been standing in the pocket for an average of like 5 to 6 seconds. So his wide receivers are running long routes down the field.
He's getting time. His offensive line's playing well.
When the wideouts are running long down the field, that leaves the check game open, right? The check down game. So Montgomery was targeted 12 times last week, and remember, Eddie Lacy played around 60 to 70% of the snaps.
He's not playing at all this week.
Right, he's not playing at all this week. Yep. So he was targeted 12 times. He caught 9 receptions, or he caught 9 of them coming from the backfield, which means he also had 3 rushes. Ty Montgomery put up a ton of points last week. He was two yards away from going over 100. I like Ty Montgomery to catch a ton of balls in a full point PPR like DraftKings. $3,000 is a steal.
And he got 19 points last week in DraftKings.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, there's literally no other back. If they bring a practice squad guy up, which I think they're going to trust someone like a Ty Montgomery more than they will even a practice player.
For sure.
And we've seen Randall Cobb in the backfield, not as much this year, but he's going to be in the mix. They're going to get him touches. He's a good player. They trust what he can do. He already knows the offense.
Yeah.
Yep. And Niall Davis obviously doesn't. He's not going to be playing, but I think it's a great play at 3,200. That's unreal.
3,000.
Yeah. He catches 2 balls and he almost gets you your value back.
Yeah, that's the lowest. That's the lowest it gets.
And that's not even counting what he's going to do rushing.
Yeah. Just so you guys remember, you have to play a Thursday night game. He's on Thursday nights.
Yep.
So when you go into DraftKings or Fanduel, you have to select the Thursday night games if you want to play with any of the Green Bay Packers.
Ty Montgomery, I think it's a great pick.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
Fantasy Flatliner.
All right, my fantasy flatline. JJ. People are all up on it because he had one good game. They love him. Last week, he had a great game. He had 25 rushes for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. He carried the ball at 8.16 yards per carry. That son of a gun is never going to do that again.
Never.
Before that, let's just go to previous this season. If you combine his last 4 games he did, he had 31 rushes for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns in 4 games compared to just 1. He almost had twice as many rushing yards that he did in the last game. And Pittsburgh, once Ben Roethlisberger got hurt, they weren't themselves.
Ben Roethlisberger got hurt, and they didn't even try and pass with another quarterback.
No.
They didn't even try and throw the ball.
No. So, let me bring you back even further to last year. Last year, Jay played in 9 games. He had 49 rushes for 187 yards total and a touchdown in 9 games. It's a 3 yards per carry. He's not the guy you think he is. If you did pick him up in your league, trade him high and do not play him in any tournament games or any FanDuel DraftKings. My fantasy flatline.
All right, my fantasy flatline for this week. We're going to go to the NFC West. These games are always tough-fought games, whether it be the Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks. My flatline of the week is Christine Michael. I'm looking back at his last 3 weeks. He scored over 20 points in DraftKings on the last 3 weeks he's played. Very good production. He's playing against a Arizona defense, 5th total defense in the league right now. A very tough rush defense. And Arizona, it always seems to have Seattle's number in the last couple of years. They always play them very tough. I don't think he's going to put up 20 points this week. I really don't think so.
Those divisional games are such low-scoring games.
He's coming in at 6,700 on DraftKings. He's coming at 7,600 in FanDuel. I definitely don't see an output of worth your while when it comes to Christine Michael this week at all.
On the road, they're in Arizona. Right?
In Arizona, too. No, I don't see it.
I got to agree. I don't really like any of the Seahawks players this week.
I like Jimmy Graham still. I'll just say that.
Okay. I mean, they're second against tight ends in the league, but
they're a tough defense.
Somebody's got to catch the ball, I guess. So
yeah, and he's a safety blanket, kind of like Jason Witten was for Tony Romo.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the only reason I like him. Other than that,
he's going a little bit higher price now. People are starting to catch on to him. I think there's other options that you can pick lower and get better value, definitely in daily fantasy for tight ends.
He's the fifth rated running back of all the running backs on DraftKings right now, and I don't think he's in that position.
Not worth that. Not worth that price. No way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Christine Michael's not worth that this week. My flat line this week is DeAndre Hopkins, and he hasn't been great this season. He's kind of been middle of the road, but he's still being priced as a top tier wideout.
What is he costing you?
DeAndre Hopkins right now he's running you like 6,800 to 7,200 in DraftKings. I don't exactly know what he's costing in Fanduel, but he's up there. He's with your Amari Coopers, your Julian Edelman.
I think more of your concern in that whole connection is the Brock Osweiler. He showed a little bit better towards the end of the game. They pulled it out for the Colts, but Osweiler's just
against
been
the
lost.
Colts, though.
He's been lost.
Yeah,
the whole,
that's what I was going to say. They're playing Denver, who's already said they want to get back at their quarterback. They've practiced against this guy for how long, and he's got this red shirt on that you can't hit. Von Miller's I want to put this guy on the ground.
They said they're gonna.
Yeah.
Von Miller is literally gonna go the giant on him and choke slam this son of a bitch.
Seriously,
I guarantee.
There's no way that Brock Osweiler comes in and looks good against his.
He's gonna come
team.
out there and just dance on the stars.
Yeah, he got paid $30 million guaranteed. Thinks he's all shit, but he's not garbage.
I think you have to stay away from DeAndre Hopkins. He just costs too much, and I just need.
I love what John Elway said. He goes, sometimes the best deals you make are the deals you don't make.
There you go.
With Osweiler leaving, I
tell you what, that was a great call on your part.
And I'm not.
That was a great call.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm not saying that Simeon and Paxton are where they should be right now, but you just see what Osweiler you think should be for the amount he got paid is definitely not where he should be, and he's not distributing the ball to great receivers in DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller that he has. He's just not getting the ball to him.
Because he's bad. That's just
yeah.
All right. So now we are on to our essential plays. The ones that you need in your lineup. And my essential play for tournament games is quarterback Marcus Mariota. The reason being, he's not going to cost you that much. In DraftKings, he's going to only cost you $6,000, and in FanDuel, it's going to cost you $7,900. As we mentioned before, Indianapolis has the 30th ranked passing defense, giving up 294 yards per game. In the last two games, Mariota's been killing. He's putting up over 30 fantasy points. 2 weeks ago against Cleveland, he threw for 200. 2 weeks ago against Miami, he threw for 163 yards, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. But he ran for another 60 yards and a touchdown there. Against Cleveland, we talked about how bad Cleveland's defense is he threw for 284 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But again, he ran for 7 rushes for 64 yards. So you're getting production in the air as well as on the ground. And I think that's where your points are going to be coming from, because he's going to get you an extra 6-7 points. And if he gets a touchdown, maybe even 10 points just with his legs.
There is always the running quarterback position, right? You can find value where a quarterback takes off and runs, especially on 3rd and long where they're sending their receivers deep and they run for 10, 15 yards. That's a point and a half that you wouldn't have gotten out of a Tom Brady or something like that. So yep. I do like the Mariota pick this week, especially for what he's valued at.
All right. Yep. My essential pick for your tournament games is staying with the same team in the Titans, and I'm going with DeMarco Murray. He's my first. He's been on my radar for the first time this week. I'm looking at a couple things with him. He's playing against a defense in the Colts that's very dismal, pass and run. They're in the bottom 8th of the league. They're 24th or 25th ranked total defense. I'm reviewing over some of the numbers with DeMarco Murray. He's scored more than 20 DraftKings points in every single game except last week.
And last week he did score a touchdown, too.
And he still scored a touchdown. And prior to that, you talk about the pass with Mariota. DeMarco has had at least 5 receptions in all of the games except last week. Okay, and he was still targeted twice. This is a great play, and he still put out 12 points last week, which is not great, but I love this play this week. I think he's going to get a lot of production out of him. In DraftKings, he's coming in at 7,200. FanDuel's 8,700. He's by third or fourth overall rank back, but I think he's a great play for what you're going to pay for him.
What I would like to do is pair Marcus Mariota with DeMarco Murray because he can get you that passing touchdown. They do a little drop-off screen pass, and he can run.
If you can pair those running back to quarterback connections in a week, that's huge because not a lot of you always do the wide receiver quarterback because obviously that's the passing game.
Yeah.
But if you can pick those passing touchdowns to running backs, that's a huge steal.
Exactly.
And it puts you ahead of a lot of different people.
DeMarco Murray has only scored, he scored 2 touchdowns through the air, but those were both in the first week against Minnesota. So he is catching the ball, but he's not doing a lot with the ball after he catches it. The guy is a workhorse running back. Yep. I think you're looking more for breaking one off or goal line carries, which Titans team like that is they like to get down to the goal line with passes and not necessarily score. Or maybe Murray's running in from the 5-yard line. I still like Murray. He's a higher value running back, so you're going to have to find value in other places. Maybe you pair Murray with Ty Montgomery to save some value. So
yeah, but the thing is with let's say he's getting 5 receptions, but that's 5 receptions with 5 points in DraftKings because it's a PPR.
It's your DraftKings play. Yep.
So that's almost as much as a touchdown if he's catching the ball that many times.
For sure. My essential player is AJ Green. He's playing a defense that's given up a total of 16 touchdowns to the wide receiver position. And the past 4 out of the 6 teams that the Browns have played, the 4 teams have had their number 1 target in wide receiver or tight end. In some cases, it was a tight end. Go over 100 yards and a touchdown in each one of those games.
I like those numbers.
So, we're looking at AJ Green.
Weird to hear you say numbers. That's usually my gig.
Yeah, well, I try every once in a while there.
He's trying to stop losing bets.
Yeah, I heard that's what it is. He doesn't want to get down on a knee again. I see how it is.
The only time I lose bets is when I bet on the Packers.
Or when you bet
kind of weird.
Or when you bet with me.
Aaron Rodgers needs to break up with Olivia Munn.
She's so hot.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like that's a Super Bowl.
I think there's
trouble on the homestead.
Bad juju.
Yeah.
Bad juju.
Something going on there.
I saw they had a little meme there last week that, Dak Prescott hadn't thrown an interception until it showed Brett Favre putting his hand on Dak's shoulder, and then he started throwing a couple interceptions at Lambeau.
I like that.
I thought that was kind of clever.
Well, they both are number 4, right?
Yeah, they are. They are number 4.
Number 4 plays well in Lambeau.
Maybe there'll be a little pick.
Yeah.
Plays cheerleader.
I think AJ Green is such a solid play this week. He's a little bit on the pricey side. I think he's up in the 8,000 range for DraftKings. I think he's more expensive in DraftKings than he is in Fanduel. We'll have to check that. But, he's 8,600 in DraftKings, and he's only 8,500 in FanDuel. I like him in either case. I think he's going to score at least 1 touchdown. Again, the Browns are giving up at least 2.5 touchdowns a game to wide receivers, so he easily could go in for 2 touchdowns and over 100 this week. I love AJ Green.
I can see him scoring. I see LaFell scoring. I see Gio could get a touchdown there too.
Yep.
So that's why I like the Ginger actually this week too.
It's hard to not pick guys that are playing the Browns, right?
Because they're freaking awful.
They're terrible.
But they're fun to watch because I used to pick guys against them. So there's that.
Moving on, we got the cash games. In the cash games, we have a giant double up we're playing this week. So we are mixing our lineups. The first one was a tournament play, and this next one is going to be a $25 double up Thursday night game. So obviously we're putting $25 in with the chance to win 50. Dr. Healy, take us away with our...
My fight or flight players are basically the Kansas City's backfield. Spencer Ware is going to cost you $7,000 in DraftKings, $7,000 FanDuel, $5,800 in DraftKings. Jamal Charles will cost you just a couple $100 less, $6,800 in FanDuel and $5,700. The reason being, New Orleans defense is one of the worst in the league, giving up 11 touchdowns like we mentioned earlier, but also what the running backs can do in the air. The Atlanta duo of Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman had 8 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown when they played him a couple weeks ago, as well as Melvin Gordon had 6 receptions for 43 yards as well. So I believe both these guys can get in the end zone like they did last week, but I think Spencer Ware is going to get more of the touches. But I could see Jamal Charles finally having that breakout, maybe 60, 70-yard run. But we'll kind of see how it plays out. But either or, I think are kind of boomer bust players.
I like where your head's at. You said the Chiefs backfield. I'm going to go with the Chiefs backfield. I'm going to go with Spencer Ware. I think he's going to get more touches. Jamal Charles is coming back, but this is only his second game back, third game back maybe. And Spencer Ware I see more as a goal line back. He can do a little bit more. Less more of a shiftier back rather than straight downhill sprinter kind of guy. And you're looking at the Saints defense, 4.3 yards per carry. That's probably in the bottom 5 teams in yards allowed per carry. That's a huge upside with
Spencer Ware is averaging almost 7 yards per carry.
That's unreal. And for what you're going to pay for him, I like Spencer Ware this week. I think that's a good fight or flight player. Not overpaying for him, but he's got high ceiling potential. What can happen with him?
Exactly.
Yeah. So New Orleans giving up a ton of touchdowns to the running back position. Spencer Ware is obviously getting more touches. Jamal Charles hasn't done anything in the past 2 years because he gets hurt every time he gets on the field.
He killed it last year when he was on the field. Let's be real.
For what, like 2 games?
No, it was like 6.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyways, Spencer Ware is a better pick this week. I love Spencer Ware to be a goal line back, or at least take the goal line touches. Yep. I think he has a great opportunity to at least get in the end zone once, and that's really what you're looking for when you're looking for running backs. So my fight or flight in cash games is going to be James White. We know James White is going to be involved. Yeah, he's going to be involved in the offense. He's obviously a lot more involved once Tom Brady's quarterback. That check down game from Tom Brady is awesome. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming in at 18th against the run, so kind of the middle of the pack. But I'm looking at, they're 31st against the pass. And you know who catches the ball out of the backfield?
I think a guy named White.
James White does. LeGarrette Blount does not. So we got James White coming out of the backfield. Again, he's a boomer bust player. Last week he had, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, that's his boom week. He could bust this week, but I still like him to catch, middle of the pack, kind of like a 8 to 15 range as far as targets and yards after the catch. So I think he's a great cash play because he's going to at least get you to a point where you're keeping up some points and keeping up with the other people you're going against. So moving on.
Fantasy Flatliner.
All right, a fantasy flatline for me is going to be Antonio Brown. With Big Ben hurt, Antonio Brown will not be the same. He has not caught a pass ever for a touchdown by anybody else. Last year, there's 4 games where Big Ben did not play, and he averaged 4 receptions for 78 yards and 0 touchdowns. I am not playing Antonio Brown in any of my leagues, and especially in DraftKings and Fanduel is going to cost you way too much for a little production.
All right, so my flatline of the week in cash games, same team, different aspect. It is a Le'Veon Bell. My reasoning for this, Le'Veon Bell has a quarterback coming in that's going to be starting in Landry Jones. As a defensive coordinator in the Patriots, what do I do? Who do I try to allow to beat us? A backup quarterback? Not Le'Veon Bell. They're going to come out. They're going to be stout on the run. They're not going to allow him to try to run. That's going to be their number one priority, is to stop the run versus Le'Veon. Let Landry try to beat them, which I don't think he can either. I think it's going to be, I could see this being just a blowout. I really see, I could see New England just crushing Pittsburgh, crushing them.
Yeah, I mean, New England's favored by 7 points right now. I think they should be favored by 9 or 10, to be honest. So my flat line of the week is Russell Wilson. He's going into Arizona. It's a divisional game. Tough to play on the road against a tough team at their home stadium. He hasn't looked great this year. He had 0 touchdowns last week. Playing a pretty tough pass defense with Honey Badger and Patrick Peterson. I don't like Russell Wilson at all.
This is the complete opposite view that we had last week of Russell Wilson. We were all excited for him to go at home against the Atlanta defense, and he did not come through at all.
Couldn't come through. He just I don't know what's wrong with dangerous Russ, but he doesn't have it this year.
No, he's not the same. But he did the same thing last year throughout the first 6 games of the season and came around
That's
late.
True. Yep.
But who knows what's coming with
Ciara.
that one. See, you got Olivia Munn, you got
married.
Ciara.
Yeah,
That's his
all
problem.
downhill.
Yeah,
cracking
there
the
you
whip.
go. All right, now we're on to our essential picks. I got AJ Green for my essential pick. 8,500 in Fanduel and 8,600 in DraftKings. He's going against Cleveland. Cleveland has given up 16 touchdowns through the air, and that was when they had a healthy Joe Hayden. Their number one corner is questionable for this game with a hip pointer injury, as well as they lost their safety last week with a lacerated kidney.
That can't feel good.
So, guess who's going to be coming through? AJ Green.
I like that. I like that pick. My essential pick, your must play in cash games, is Tom Brady. Nice. He is the most expensive quarterback this week. I think he's well worth it. He's, I think, 365 or 370 yards plus in both games he's been back. He's thrown 0 interceptions, and he's thrown 3 touchdowns in each game. You can't ask for much more than that from any quarterback, even if you're the top rated and most expensive. No. And he's playing against a matchup for him, a non-divisional opponent, but someone they play every year, going up against the Steelers offense that has a backup quarterback. I look at this as a lot of 3-and-outs for the Steelers defense, putting the ball back into the Patriots offense hand. A lot of time for Tom Brady to do a lot of work, get you a lot of points.
Playing the 31st ranked pass defense.
Exactly.
So, I like Tom Brady.
Yep.
My essential pick originally was Spencer Ware, but since we kind of already touched on him and we know he's playing a terrible rushing defense,
he's gonna toss it to him.
Yep. I'm throwing you guys a little bit of a curveball here. My essential pick for cash games, I'm going Julio Jones. I think this is the week where you
JJ.
I think you pay up for Julio Jones. You can find, especially if you're playing Thursday night games, you can throw a Ty Montgomery in there. You can find value at other positions. Marcus Mariota could be a great quarterback to use, and pair him with Rashard Matthews to get you again, bring that cap down. So I like Julio Jones this week. Highest scoring game on the slate. Atlanta's projected to score 30 points. You can't tell me Julio Jones won't be in the end zone.
I can't.
That's a good play.
We agree. Again,
I love Julio.
I do love Julio a lot this week. We are now moving on here, and we have the prescription to win. I like this. What is our prescription to win, Dr. Curry?
Well, do you want me to start off with the DraftKings or the FanDuel, Dr. Healy?
Let's do DraftKings.
All right. Well, let's go. DraftKings, again, we're playing the giant $25 double up, which is a Thursday night game, so it's including the Packers and the Bears players. We're going with Andy Dalton for $6,000 at quarterback.
Carrot top.
He's fiery.
Carrot top.
Fiery.
Yep. So we're he's been consistent. He hasn't been great, but he's been right around that 20-22 point mark.
That Browns defense is enticing to play against.
That's all you need. You need 20 points out of your quarterback. He's going to get it to you. So we're going to follow that up with Spencer Ware. We're going to take him for $5,800. Again, we talked about this. Worst rushing defense as far as touchdowns he's going up against. I like Spencer Ware to get in the end zone as far as a goal line carry. I think they're going to be right there. And second running back, we're going with Giovanni Bernard at $4,800. Nick, can you tell him why we picked Giovanni Bernard?
I like Gio a lot this week. He's taken over the amount of carries. I think he had 15 carries to Jeremy Hill, I believe, had 13 or 9. But he's also doing the passing game. He had 6 receptions last game. 2 weeks ago, he almost doubled the amount of carries that Jeremy Hill had. And Hill's dealing with a hip injury. And Gio catches the ball for 1 point each one. So I like Gio a ton. And he's only costing you $4,800.
Love it.
So he's not going to kill the bank.
What do we got for wideouts?
I'll take that one. I got AJ Green for $8,600.
Got to pair him with the Rotten Tomato.
Oh, yeah. And then we got Julio Jones, who is Dr. Curry's essential pick, along with his fight or flight of Ty Montgomery.
I love it.
It's a great pick in that Ty Montgomery. $3,000 he's only going for.
Saves you a ton of money.
Literally, what would we say when it comes to what you're paying for players? 2.5 times what you paid. So $3,000 means you need to get
3 catches for 50 yards,
8 points out of him to be a good play.
3 catches for 30 yards and 5 rushes for 40.
And he's the one that apparently is going to take the leading role in rushing back. And he's got a Hall of Fame quarterback thrown to him. He's already in the mix last week. He almost had 20 points last week at 3.
He had 19 last week.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Hard to miss a guy when he's only like 3 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
I know Aaron Rodgers had some accuracy problems, but he's got that little dump pass down.
All right, so we're going to continue with the rest of our DraftKings double-up lineup. Here we got our tight end. We're going to do Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker didn't do a whole lot last week, but we love Mariota this week. I think he's going to distribute the ball to some of his favorite targets, which Delaney Walker is one of them. We're going to go to James White for our flex. James White comes in at 4,600, and the Patriots are going to be, I think, they're going to absolutely throttle the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I can't wait for it.
I like it. And then we're gonna top it off with the Patriots defense going up against a Landry Jones stepping in. He had some time last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with
didn't
Big Ben.
Perform
Didn't perform very well. And 2,900 with the Patriots, I think they're going to do pretty well on the road and get some turnovers and definitely not going to put out a lot of points.
No.
So I like the Patriots defense here too.
Landry Jones is throwing at least 1 pick.
Oh, for sure.
Could be a pick 6.
Could be pick 6.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Could be a pick 6 in there.
I like
sure.
that. And then we are moving on to our FanDuel lineup. We're going to play the $1 million Sunday NFL Sling TV Rush. It's $5. Chance to win a lot of money. Who are we starting out with, Dr. Curry?
For quarterback, we're going to save some money here. We're going to go with a running quarterback. We're going Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota, I don't have his FanDuel
7,900.
7,900. As opposed to like a Matty Ice who's 8,700 or a Tom Brady who's in the $9,000 range. Saving some money there. I think it's going to be a great pick. We're taking Mariota. He's been solid the past 2 to 3 weeks. Following that up with Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman, I believe he actually has more receiving yards than DeAndre Hopkins this year. So, Tevin Coleman coming out of the backfield.
You said DeAndre Hopkins?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Tevin Coleman has been catching the ball. Well, he put up 100 and some yards receiving against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you expect that every week out of DeAndre Hopkins, and the fact that he's that bad for your flat line, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman, 6,200 in FanDuel. He's going to catch the ball. They have a little bit better rushing defense than you think San Diego does. I think they're I want to say they're like 7th.
They're 5th, I think.
Something like that, 5th to 7th. I like him catching the ball more than Freeman coming out of the backfield and running the ball there.
Yeah, they are 5th ranked, only giving up 83 yards a game rushing, but they have given up 8 touchdowns rushing.
There you go. So a goal line carry or maybe a screen pass that he takes to the house. So and then we got Ware coming out of the Kansas City Chiefs backfield. We've talked a lot about him. $7,000. He's going to get in the end zone.
Where's this lineup going to be? Number 1. That's where it's going to be.
Love it.
It
is a tournament.
All right, next one we have for wide receivers. We got 3 of them. We got AJ Green costing $8,500. I'm going to pair that up with Julio Jones, kind of like we did in DraftKings, and he's going to cost you $9,200. But we're going to take Rashad Matthews. We're pairing up with Marcus Mariota as a quarterback. He's only going to cost you $5,600.
All right, and then we're going to tight end. We're going to go Travis Kelce out of Kansas City, $6,300 for Travis Kelce. It's been done a little bit this year, but I think he's going to have a big game this week, coming out with there. We're going to do Cairo Santos for our kicker, $4,800. I don't know. I like his name, though.
Cairo?
I like his name.
He's history. He's Egyptian.
We all like FanDuel, but picking kickers is just like you might as well roll the dice.
It's literally a crapshoot.
You might as well roll the dice.
And we're sticking with the same defense. The Pats defense, I think we all agree that the Pats defense is going to be in a good position against the backup quarterback coming in Landry Jones. Going to put up some points. We see at least one interception out of Jones this week to our defense here at 4,400.
That was the most exciting thing to happen tonight.
It might have been.
He might have 3. He's going to have more
next
interceptions
to the BL
than
smoothie.
Touchdown.
Yeah, well, the BL
sure.
smoothie was great.
The BL smoothie was
well,
a good
you took
start
that down kind of like a champion. I was expecting spraying. I was expecting us to maybe to have to replace the
I was expecting I was going to fall asleep before you finished, but I mean,
do you time that? That was like
that was pretty. That was
like a
that
3-4-40.
Well, it was a tall boy,
Yeah.
and it was probably
16-ouncer.
Yeah.
If I had to put in ranks of like a 40-yard dash, it would be over the 5.0. But I mean,
So in the Eddie Lacy range.
yeah, it'd be in the cheeseburger range.
I'll take it.
That was cruel. I was going to give him better than that. But hey, you can take it
I'll
away
give you
with
like
that.
a 4.82.
All right.
4.87.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for listening. Where can they find us?
We can find us. You can find us on Fantasy Sport Doctors. So that's Fantasy Sport SPORTDRS.com. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have all the social media handles. Check us out. Our sponsors, Pub Picks, super cool application.
Make sure you download it. It's free.
You can download it. It's
free.
You bet on games. You listen to us. You win, and then you win free beer. You win bowling games. Just put it in any city you're in. Bars, restaurants, bowling alleys. A super cool application.
And one thing we didn't get to was what beer are we drinking today, or have we been drinking?
I was drinking Fulton, which is out of Minneapolis. Sweet Child of Vine. It's a beautiful IPA. I love it.
I had a BL smoothie.
Oh, BL smoothie.
Busch Light.
Yeah,
Best
classy,
of Busch Light,
classy.
Holmes.
I'm drinking a Bra Brothers Ringneck. It's very similar to what Newcastle tastes like. It's out of Lucan, Minnesota. The population there's only 220
people.
But they have a delicious brewery, so thank you very much, Bra Brothers.
Love it. Don't forget, when you check out our social media, you're supposed to like us and follow us. And
Yes. Do all of
Why?
the
Why would they do that?
Well, because we're awesome, obviously.
And
We're helping you win money.
And
And we like to drink beer.
and we have
obviously.
a contest.
Well, oh yeah, and we're giving away.
Hey,
I suppose
trying
we
to
do
lead
have
you
a
into that
contest.
one. It's
I
easy.
know on Periscope up here, we haven't been answering your questions. This is more of just you guys being involved in our podcast. You can see our podcast on our website, but we do a Stardom Sit-'em every Sunday, 10 o'clock.
No,
10 o'clock
It's 10 to
ish.
10:15 Central.
10:15 Central.
Maybe like 10:25.
We will be responding to all your questions. Stardom, sit-'em. I know we don't respond here, but just so you can get involved to start middle of the week, and then we'll answer all your questions when it comes down to it right before the games.
If you have Thursday night questions, make sure you get it on.
You can
Instagram,
email us.
social media, something like
Listen
that.
to our stuff and just make your picks based off what we're telling
if you guys have any questions, just simply email us. That's fantasysportsportdrs@gmail.com,
Yep.
and we will get back to you. So
Relatively quickly, like sometime in the next week.
get out of here.
All right, thanks guys for
Thanks
tuning
for
in.
listening, everyone.